Hello. Today we're going to do Psalm number 2. That's right, Psalm number 2. Once again, I'll be using the Grail translation. Psalm number 2, I should point out, is the first of the Messianic Psalms. And all that means is it's about the coming Messiah. Okay, so I'm going to read through it. Just read straight through it. And then afterwards, we'll just go back and look at what stands out in the Psalm. Why this tumult among nations, among peoples, this useless murmuring? They arise, the kings of the earth. Princes plot against the Lord and his anointed. Come, let us break their fetters. Come, let us cast off their yoke. He who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord is laughing them to scorn. Then he will speak in his anger. His rage will strike them with terror. It is I who have set up my king on Zion, my holy mountain. I will announce the decree of the Lord. The Lord said to me, "You are my son. It is I who have begotten you this day. Ask, and I shall bequeath you the nations. Put the ends of the earth in your possession. With a rod of iron you will break them, shatter them like a potter's jar. Now, O kings, understand. Take warning, rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with awe and trembling. Pay him your homage, lest he be angry and you perish. For suddenly his anger will blaze. Blessed are they who put their trust in God." Okay, that is Psalm number 2, and I really like it. So let's just go back and start taking a look at it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is look at the word anointed. From that is where we get the term Messiah, because that's the Hebrew word for anointed, Messiah. Also, if from the Greek, it is we get the word Christ. So in other words, princes plot against the Lord and his Messiah, or princes plot against the Lord and his Christ. And that is why it says, "Come, let us break their fetters." Well, whose fetters? It's from Christ and God, or the Messiah and God. And I think the next thing we need to look at is the different perspectives of this psalm. When it starts off, why this tumult among nations? Or other versions would say, why do the heathens rage? We just don't use the word heathen as much because over time it has become a very negative word. So why this tumult among nations? Well, that's the narrator. And then the kings of the earth say, "Come, let us break their fetters." Well, that's the kings talking. Then we go back to the narrator. He who sits in the heavens laughs. And then next we go, "It is I who have set up my king on Zion, my holy mountain." Well, that's God speaking. Next we have the Messiah. "I will announce the decree of the Lord. The Lord said to me, 'You are my son. It is I who have begotten you this day. Ask, and I shall bequeath you the nations. Put the ends of the earth in your possession." So those are the four perspectives. The perspective of their narrator, the kings of the earth, God, and the Messiah. Those are the four perspectives. And once you know there's four different perspectives in the psalm, it's pretty easy to tell who is speaking. But I want to go down to the perspective of the Messiah. And the line says, "The Lord said to me, 'You are my son. It is I who have begotten you this day.'" Now that's an interesting line, and it is almost a foreshadowing of the line in John 3:16. "For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son." And I think it was really an interesting foreshadow because you don't hear the word begotten that much. Begotten is sort of a combination of created and something being born. So you create something, but it's a living thing that you create. So anyway, that's probably a pretty bad explanation, but that's what it is. So now let's take a look just down a little farther. The next line that really stands out for me is the line, "Ask, and I shall bequeath you the nations. Put the ends of the earth in your possession." And what stands out for me is the irony, because that's almost what the devil says to Jesus the Messiah when he's being tempted. In fact, let's just go there. Matthew chapter 4, verse number 8. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I will give you, he said, if you will bow down to me and worship me. And Jesus said to him, Away from me, Satan, for it is written, Worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And, it just, the Psalm number 2 is sort of like a weird irony that in that verse, God says, ask and I will give you the ends of the earth. And you have to wonder if maybe the devil had read that psalm and he was sort of twisting it around. Anyway, that's just something that really just stood out for me in Psalm number 2. Now, the last thing I want to look at is the line, pay him your homage, lest he be angry and you perish. Or homage, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Now, for this, we need to go to the Old King James. So let's just go over there and see what that version says. So in the Old King James, you have verse number 12, where it says, Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish. And that's, I think, a lot more poetic because in the old days, as a sign of respect for a king, you would give them a kiss. But what really stands out is, again, the poetic irony that later Jesus would be betrayed by Judas with a kiss. But that just goes back to this being a messianic psalm. And if you're going to do a study of Jesus in the Old Testament, whether it's the Passover or prophecy concerning Jesus or the pre-incarnate Christ as the character of the angel of the Lord, you're going to also look at a lot of these psalms. And number 2 is a good one. And we're also going to go look at 22 later on. And there's a lot of foreshadowing of Jesus in Psalm number 22. Anyway, this was Psalm number 2. I hope you enjoyed it and have a blessed day.